Hi.
Morning.
Morning. Whoa, let's put my glasses on, shall we? Okay, there we go. Let's see. Can I find them? There we go. Glasses are on. I can see. Welcome back. Last time we were together, we did solving systems of equations. We're keeping them to linear straight lines, and we're doing 2 by 2. Again, that means 2 variables, 2 equations, some number of solutions. We talked about the possible number of solutions, what it looks like graphically. Today, we're going to play with finding those solutions by hand, using our calculator to confirm that that's the right answer, so we know we get 100, and then looking at what the solutions might look like, the algebra work might look like, when there are no solutions or when there's infinitely many solutions. You guys reminded me that we left off, we were about to start this one, yes?
Yes, it is.
All right, I'm going to make a mess, so I'm grabbing another sheet of paper to make a big mess of this. If you'd like some paper too, you're welcome to do that now. All right, there's my big mess. Step number 1 from yesterday was?
Y.
Yeah, one of the variables. Pick an equation, isolate it for one of the variables. So the top equation or the bottom equation? Top equation, all right. So we're going to solve this guy for which variable?
X.
X, Y? Y, it definitely seems easier, yeah? All right, let's solve it for Y. Some of you want to solve it for X, so we'll go through and we'll look at that too, okay? All right, so let's solve it for Y first. So I'm going to rewrite my equation, and then I'm going to divide through by 2. And when I'm done, I have a gross fraction. If you're anything like me, you're starting to panic a little bit.
Miss, I have a question.
I have an answer.
Why do you have to divide by 2? Is it because we're solving for y?
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, I want Y all by itself to make this thing work. Okay. Some of you had said let's solve for X. So I'm going to go ahead, since I've got room on my sheet here, I'm going to solve it for X and see if, while maybe a little bit more work, maybe it avoids the ugly fraction. And if it does, that'll make our life easier and maybe work along the way simpler. Okay. All right, I'm going to subtract 6 from both sides. And then, got to get rid of that negative. What do I do?
1.
Divide by positive 1? Negative 1. Okay, all right, got it. I got it. Well, you know what? Solving it for X looks so much easier. There isn't a fraction to deal with. At this point, it's your choice which one you want to use. Okay? Can I use the one without the fraction?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you. Step 2 was?
Subtract by 6? No.
After this. So step 1 was this thing. Step 2 in solving systems was?
Check.
Not quite yet. Is that right? Yeah, we're going to substitute back into the second equation. All right, y'all do that for me. I'm going to answer his question. Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Sorry to interrupt.
That's all right. Appreciate it. We were just copying.
Yes, ma'am.
Yep.
No problem. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Right? So that was the other equation that we didn't mess with. And I grabbed this one because there was no fraction. All right. From here, solve for y. Steps to take?
You distribute.
Okay. Multiply by 3. And
the
then?
parentheses, inside the parentheses.
Yeah, in this parentheses, we're going to do that distribution.
Negative 6y plus 8, yeah, 18.
Boop, boop, boop. Next,
Minus 18.
add the 4y to?
Oh, yeah, to the negative 6.
Okay. And he said subtract 18. You can do both of those things at the same time, and order doesn't matter.
Now you
I did both of them at the same time.
do you divide?
Yeah, and here I'm going to divide by negative 10, she said. Yes. I heard a negative 1. Good job. Now that I have a value for y,
Oh, can I borrow your eraser?
Do we substitute?
yep, I'm going to substitute back into the original equation, the very first one I was playing with, so that I can find x. Now here again I have an option. I can substitute it back into the actual original equation that I was given and then solve it for x, or I can grab the version that's already solved for x and substitute it there. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. It's going to be a little easier. All right, so I'm just rewriting things so we can see what I am doing. -2 times -1 is 2. 2 plus 6 is 7. Wait. Oh. Thanks. I need more coffee. All right, I have now an answer for x and for y. And so my solution
Y equals -1.
is 8 comma -1 because this is x and this is y.
Okay.
But how do I know that I'm right? Especially if I didn't realize or I didn't have you next to me telling me that 7 is not what you get when you add 2 to 6. We're going to put it in your calculator, we're going to substitute. Exactly. You've done this before, haven't you? All right. So will you tell me how to do it to make sure I've done it right, as I'm terrible at this? What do I do?
So you put 2 parentheses.
Where are you getting that from?
From the regular equation.
From,
The unsolved equation.
oh, okay, from here.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, got it. Okay, so 2 parentheses,
-1
because that's the value for y. Got it.
equals
Where's the equals button?
Under control.
Under the control next to our trig menu. Okay, great.
parentheses.
Parentheses. Oh, negative parentheses.
Negative
8 plus 6. My age is showing that you guys have to teach me how to use this thing. True. That means that solution works for that equation. We're going to do it again, you said, for the other one?
Yes.
All right, right on. Okay, I'm going to do some typing. You're going to do some typing. It's a race, and then make sure that I did the typing right because I'm old.
Miss, what happens if it's not true? What would it say?
Ooh, it'll say false.
Oh.
Okay, so
Well, I'm sorry, I didn't know.
it's okay. No, okay. So I'm gonna typo. I purposefully typoed instead of writing 28. I wrote 25, just so that we can see what happens. Okay, that's what happens, darling dear. That's what happens.
Oh.
And the moment I see that, I know that one
You're
of two
wrong.
things happens. Yeah, I'm wrong. And so either I typoed pushing it into the buttons, which is what I did here. I did that on purpose. Or something in here went weird and I got to go find it. Yeah? Ooh.
They did something totally wrong.
Then just
Yeah.
start all over. Just start
Basically, you got to go hunt back in here that something happens. It means that these two numbers are not the solution.
But they're probably in the wrong order.
Or they're in the wrong order, or I did a 2 plus 6 is 7 somewhere, or I used the fraction and got like,
Would have been harder if you used the fraction.
yeah. So
I think.
great questions.
Does that also call for true?
If they're all true, like in this example, hang on,
Actually,
like
I don't mind.
in this, well, yeah, thank you, so I don't have to retype. Appreciate you. So if they're both true, like in this example, that means that those two numbers are in fact the solution, and I know that I did everything correct.
No, like, I mean, like, you know, like on tests, you have this temperature.
Yeah, so if we allow the calculator on the test, again, I'll let you know as we get closer to the day whether we're doing calculator work or not for the test. If I'm giving you a multiple choice option, maybe something that looks like this for your homework assignment, day 1B, I could grab these, I can do this to that, and if I get both trues, that's my answer, and then I don't have to do much work. Yeah, easy peasy.
Also, this, we just plug in the numbers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh wow.
yeah. Yeah.
Oh.
How would you tell, like, if it's not infinitely many? Because if
Ooh.
you type it in and it says that that's true, how would you know if it's not more?
That's a fabulous question. So notice answer choice B says infinitely many solutions. That means regardless of what numbers I've picked, it's always going to work.
Like the lines would be like on top of each
The
other.
lines are on top of each other. So this would be my recommendation. Especially if you're doing this technique on the multiple choice.
Graphic.
You could graph it. and see if the lines end up on each other. So that's
How would
one
you know if
option.
it's infinitely many?
We're about to answer that question.
Oh.
Sorry, she got distracted with something. So if you go in and put these in, because you're doing this, you put this answer choice in, and you get a true, and then you put this answer choice in, and you get a true, it's likely going to be an infinitely many. Because now we've got two different answer choices
That are true.
that tells me I have at least 2 points that are true. And with straight lines, if I have 2 points that are true, that means I have all the points that are true.
Okay, Miss, what if you do that right and those two you get right? Like it says true
Okay, this one says true.
and the D says true.
D
And
says
then
true.
you still want to make sure, can you just put random numbers?
Yes.
It doesn't say true. Oh.
Yes. Until you have assured yourself that if I put any number in there, it's going to work.
Because if it's
Or you could just graph it.
because if it's infinitely many solutions, like it doesn't matter which number you plug in, they'll still be true.
Yep, exactly. Because in case you didn't hear him, because with infinitely many solutions, it doesn't matter what numbers you stick in. As he was saying, if you have infinitely many solutions, it doesn't matter what numbers you stick in there, you'll end up with true and true, because it'll work.
Because like they'll have like the little arrows.
Yeah.
That's it.
So the question is when you're doing it by hand, what does it look like when you have infinitely many
Can I get water?
solutions? Yes, go right ahead. Don't forget the pass.
Or you can just put whatever number and put it in the solve it.
You could. But I want to review what it would look like by hand. What does it look like with infinitely many solutions? And I'm going through this idea because up next for you is either pre-calculus or college algebra. And neither one of those classes are too heavily reliant on this. They want to see all of the different steps. Okay? So, let's say I have, this is example number 3 in your notes. On the back of your notes page is blank. You can totally write all of this stuff on the back of your notes. Okay. So I have this. I've selected an equation to solve for a variable. I'm going to do this top one just for lulz. Going to solve it for x. I added 3y to both sides. I divided everything by 4. I took some Benadryl to clear the hives from the fact there's a fraction. And now I'm going to substitute into the other equation. Do. Yay! I have
What
a
is that?
fraction. What is what? Where?
Oh, no.
Okay. So I'm going to think of this 8 not as 8, but as 8 over 1, so that in that little substitution area, I have multiplications of fractions, which according to our scribbly notes yesterday was top times top, bottom times bottom. So top times top means I'm going to have 8 times this group, and on the bottom I'm going to have a 4. I didn't distribute the 8.
Not yet. Are you gonna?
And I'm not going to right now. I could. I totally could. But if I don't, if I look at it right now, I see 8 divided by 4,
Miss, that's on my own memory.
which is 2. It reduces to 2. The 2 is on the top, and I have a 1 left over on the bottom. Which means it's 2 times this group. And I don't need the 1 on the bottom because when I have a 1 on the bottom, it's just a whole number. No more fractions. I'm so glad I took Benadryl.
6y
I get what you
plus
do.
You see? Now I can distribute.
6y plus 2. 6y minus 2 is no
6y
minus
minus
6y
6y
plus 2.
minus 12. Oh,
What?
minus 2.
Oh,
Good morning. My brain was still stuck on the 6. I'm sorry. All right, I have 6 y's. I subtracted 6 y's. I have how many 6 y's?
0.
I have no more y's. So it's just negative 2 equals negative. There's no more variables. the variables are gone, and
infinite
these two
many.
numbers agree. So when we have infinitely many solutions, your algebra scribbly gross work is going to look like no variables and numbers that agree. And numbers that agree. And it didn't matter whether you solved for x first or you solved for y first. It'll somehow end up looking like this. So then the next question. And the last question. What does it look like with no solutions? You guys now are feeling really comfortable with the isolate one of the variables and then stick it into the other one and solve it down, right? Okay, so we have some sort of system sitting here and we've done our solve and we're solving down for a variable. What you're going to end up here is some number, I'm going to write 1, but really it can be any number, equals some other number that's different than what you had on the left side of the equal sign. No solution. So what it's going to look like is no variables and numbers that disagree. Questions, comments, concerns, suggestions? Feeling good? Feeling ready to tackle
Worksheet.
your worksheets?
Yes, ma'am.
Right on. I'm going to kill the recording here. Thank you very much. Say bye, everyone.
Bye.